Hey guys, welcome to the Save Continue podcast, where every other week we get together and talk about video games and video game related stuff. As always, I'm Shanae Howard, and with me is Tommy Shelby
Hi.
and Ryan Robinson.
Hello.
So, guys, what have y'all been playing?
A little bit more than last time. Last time when you weren't here, Sinead, Ryan and I were talking about I haven't been playing shit. I haven't been interested in playing shit.
He's on a
But
sabbatical.
I've been playing some more things. I've been playing the Power Slave remaster from Night Dive, and that's it's so good, man. I shouldn't be surprised at this point. Night Dive's remasters are just so good, almost always.
What is Power Slave, Tom?
Power Slave is an old first-person shooter. So Power Slave is weird because you remember before in the 90s, right? Or you would get I don't know, any random game and it would be different on Genesis and it would be different on NES. They'd be the same thing, sometimes from the same developers, but totally different games. Power Slave wasn't that drastic, but there was 3 versions of Power Slave back in the day that were all a good bit different. That was PS1, Saturn, and PC. And yeah, this is all the best bits from all 3 combined into one.
Oh,
just
nice.
the best version of that game. It's first person shooter. And yeah, I've been having a lot of fun with that. And then I didn't even realize that Skullgirls was still getting updates. But my daughter and I have been playing a little bit of that. They put out a new character, Annie, and they've got a season pass going on right now with 3 more
Does
characters
Annie die
coming.
again?
No, Sword actually. But
Sword.
it's just I guess I just assumed that they weren't still supporting it. That game came out on the fucking 360.
Yeah, no, it.
Yeah, and there's still new
Jordan
content
was
for that
with his
bitch.
parents when he first
Yeah,
played it.
yeah. So I've been getting back into that, and then I have not yet, but I think this week I'll probably dive into King of Fighters 15.
Nice.
Yeah.
Some nice shit. I like it.
What about you, Ryan?
Yeah, I've been playing a few things. So Horizon Forbidden West came out this past week. I've been playing a lot of that. It's so far it's pretty good. It's it looks really good. It plays in ways that I wish that the first game did. Specifically when it comes to traversal and exploration. But also there's more versatility with the weapons. For example, now I'm able to equip 6 different weapons at a time as opposed to 4, which keeps me from having to manage my inventory all the time. And now Aloy has this stuff where, so before they gave her 3 skill trees in the first game, and now there are 6 skill trees. And each
That's level skills.
yeah, it's a lot of skills, man. And each of the skill trees, there is a special move that she can trigger. For example, the archery skill tree has this mode that she can trigger where she does more damage with ranged attacks and also regenerates health with every attack that lands. There's a stealth skill tree that allows her to equip a cloaking device and hide more effectively and stuff like that. And it's really cool. It's really neat. And I like also how
Does
much.
it feel? Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Does it feel with the more skill trees that it's a lot more personalized when you're playing it?
Yeah, because I think that those special skills or modes that you're able to pop her into kind of play more into that, play more into whatever your preferred playstyle is, because I prefer to kind of use ranged attacks. I think the archery in that game is really cool. So I've been kind of skilling more toward that. But it's just as fun to use melee now, because before in the first game, Melee seemed more like kind of like an afterthought, and now they've like actually put more thought into it. Now you have like combos that you can do, and like there's a combo that she has now where like she can like after like doing like some kind of like it's like an uppercut move with her spear, she can then like jump off the guy and then like jump backwards and like shoot him while she's in the air and stuff like that. So it's really neat. But most notably for me, because I think the biggest gripe I had with the first game is the traversal. Like it was just so difficult to like sometimes negotiate the landscape because she can't climb except for she was able to climb except for like specific circumstances, like even
You're
like
saying you had to like Skyrim your way up mountains and shit, right?
well, not necessarily. Like a lot of that stuff was like with stuff like that, like they would give you like these preset grapple points, and you kind of had to use those to like scale up walls and whatever. Now she's able to like climb a lot more things. She's able to climb up cliff faces and things like that.
Is there a stamina bar?
There is not. And
so she can just climb up a cliff?
Yes.
Infinitely?
Wow.
Yeah, there's no stamina bar. So I'm able to, and it like allows me to like explore more freely. It allows me to like set up more opportunities as far as like engaging enemies and stuff. So it's really neat. I'm liking it a lot. Yeah, it's really neat. And also I have been playing. I played a little bit of No Man's Sky because there was an update this last week where they did an overhaul of like the combat system and added more stuff to the crafting and things like that. And so far it's been pretty cool. I think they're going to have an expedition coming out next week, so I'm looking forward to that because those are always fun. Played a little Cyberpunk 2077.
So you're from the future now?
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. You made it sound before like you had no intention of buying that. Because like there was something problematic in the game that you didn't care for. So I don't remember exactly what it was.
Yeah, there was something about like trans representation of the in the game that seemed really gross to me at the time.
Yeah.
We got a chance because when they put it back on the PlayStation Store, that also came with a 5-hour demo. So we went in and played a little bit of that, and the game was like $25 off or something like that. So we went ahead and like picked it up, and the game seems to have been improved, technically speaking, a lot from when it came out. But at the same time, there's not like really performance issues per se. Like there's like my frame rate seems pretty steady, and I'm not getting any crashes so far or anything like that. But there are some things here and there. Like I think the most recent thing was last night. Kaylee was playing, and she realized that the pants her character had equipped had disappeared. And like she went to her inventory and it wasn't there, so her pants were just gone, and like for no reason.
I hate when that happens. I
think I can't remember if she said. Like, I think she was still getting like the armor and stats from the pants. They weren't there, but like all the clothing that she had in her inventory had disappeared as well. And had a few things where like I had to, while the game didn't crash, there were some bugs that like kind of just stopped me, and I had to like reload a save or things like that. With the way that the game feels and looks and plays, I'm glad that it wasn't a full price purchase at this point. But you know, I don't know what kind of plans they have for that game moving forward, but you know, it's very
game.
Yeah, it's very, I don't know, it feels very weird to me. Like, and some of the commentary that they try to make feels kind of off. Other times they make some statements in the game that like make sense, but it seems kind of like all over the place a lot of the time. I did get to the point where Keanu showed up.
You mean like like what they're trying to like portray is like all over the place. Like
Yeah.
there's not like a thought process or storyline,
Well,
or does it seem like they're just like trying to use like buzzwords and like hot topics like here and there, like to make it seem more like deeper? I don't know.
So I think that cyberpunk as a genre, and I think by extension, like also like science fiction, is like usually comes with like a lot of commentary. A lot of the commentary that you'll find a lot of cyberpunk has a lot to do with like consumerism and capitalism and like how those things kind of like conflict with like human interests. And sometimes like I can't tell if like the statements that it's making that are like pro corporation and pro capitalist are ironic or not. Things like that. The story so far isn't like, it's interesting at parts. Other times it's kind of just like, it's kind of, it's kind of like whatever. And it like, honestly, like the story is pretty okay up until Keanu shows up, and then it gets kind of like worse. Like his,
because of his acting talent.
Well, a little bit that, but like also like a little bit that, but also because of like the entire plot line around his character is like wholly uninteresting and like very like try-hardy to me.
Do either of you guys listen to the Always Sunny podcast?
No, but Berto does.
There's an episode. It's really funny. If you like that show, it's really funny.
I can't even watch the show, much less listen to that podcast.
Well, there's like an episode where they're talking about Keanu Reeves in the movie Point Break, and how he's like, they approach him to infiltrate a group of surfers, and he's all like, "What? Me?" Like all surprised, in his fucking surfer ass voice.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Like
of all people, why would you want me? It's like so fucking funny.
The obvious surfer.
Yeah.
But like I don't know. It's very like the way that he plays Johnny Silverhand in this game is very like, I don't know. It's very on the nose and kind of like hard to watch. And I play it also. Lastly, play a little Quake, the first one.
Quake.
Yeah, it was on sale for like $4, and I was like, you know what? Now's the time to play some Quake, so I picked it up. Spoilers. That game is still fucking rad. So
speaking of Night Dive,
yeah, that game is still cool. Almost 30 years later, so and that's about it.
So I for Valentine's Day, Berto got me Arceus, and already had it like downloaded to the Switch by the time I woke up, which was very sweet.
That Pokemon game?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So I played a bit of that. And then at work, we've been talking about Earthbound a lot because it's on the Switch. So I played a little bit of that. But I've mainly been playing Witcher 3. And I think last time I checked, I'm like 70 hours in. Granted, some of that I do, like, I forget to close the game, so not like 70 hours actively playing. But, yeah, I see why, because Berto said multiple times that like I would really enjoy this game, and I'm like, I'm over a lot of like Western RPGs, and I was like, I don't know, and I think I talked about it before. Like I mainly started playing it because I was disappointed with season 2, but man, I am balls deep into Witcher 3, and I don't know. I just like a lot of things I've heard about the game where people talk about what they really enjoy. I see it. I didn't really like the Gwent, the card game with it. I didn't really get into it the first like 14 levels, but now, oh man, I sometimes I log in just to play Gwent. Like
Sure.
I had a really rough day at work the other day, and I was like, I'm gonna open me a Diet Coke, load up the game, go to a tavern, play a couple rounds, and then go like do things I needed to do.
Well, you can play that standalone
Yeah.
Gwent game.
It's a free-to-play standalone Gwent.
What?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that came out like a few years back.
Oh, well, I'm so far behind with Witcher that I didn't know.
Hello,
But
Witcher.
like, yeah, I've been like really having a lot of fun. Once I figured out that there's like a potion you can take to reset your like stats. I've been like collecting a bunch of the Witcher gear and like crafting it, and then trying out like different stat builds and different armors and stuff. And it's been really fun. I haven't really enjoyed a game like this in a while. Like, and a lot of things that I assumed about the game that I would feel certain ways have completely changed. Like, when you said that you were like wholly uninterested in Kiana's character, I immediately thought about like Triss Marigold, one of the love interests. I thought I was gonna like her because I liked her character
On the
design.
TV. Oh,
No, on the TV she looks completely different. She doesn't look at all like she does in the game.
okay.
But I was like, oh, she's like really pretty, and I was like, oh, she's supposed to be like a badass mage. Like this will be cool. And then every time I talked to her, I was just like let me just like skip all of this.
Yeah. Some people are like
Uh,
that, you know.
Yeah, no, and then I just got to a part where I haven't been I've been like kind of here and there with the story. There's like parts of it that I'm like really into, and then there, but I haven't had like a continuous like I'd say like 7 or 8 quests in a row where I'm like interested in all of it. Um, and I've just gotten to a point where that's the case. So that's really cool. I but like this game has me thinking about different features in games we've talked about or in the past, but also what I want to talk about today. But just to talk about a couple of the other ones is I really love the quick sort in there because they have
Oh,
like
yeah.
because you can just like because when you're selling stuff you can just like quick sort it, and there's so many games that I can think of that don't have a feature like that,
Yeah.
and it's so frustrating. And I also love that all of the alchemy and crafting items don't add to your total can carry weight. They're all at like
Mm.
0 pounds. Because that's one of the most like frustrating things for me. Because like because some games, especially like RPGs, like I want to have a variance of weapons that I can choose from, and I also want to like craft everything. And with a lot of those games, because of the weight limit, I have to choose which one I want to do in that game,
Yeah.
and that's annoying. I also uh, I like the way they do the stat builds and where you can put the points and stuff. I was looking up online like some people who do different builds that I didn't even like think about, and so that's been really interesting. Because like the skill tree is like there's like different for those who haven't played it. There's like 4 sections that you can like put points in that you accumulate. Some through leveling, some through finding areas, and and so like on each kind of like tab, they like you have like ones that you can unlock, but like some of them you have to do like 15 points in a specific tab to then unlock like the next tier.
Yeah.
So there's not like so there is like a little bit of a cap on it, but like once you get to a certain level, it's not that big of a deal. Like it's to have them all there. And so yeah, I like that. But like the biggest thing for me, you okay, Ryan?
Yeah, I just my wife was swearing at her game and my mic picked it up and I thought it was funny.
I heard it. It's so funny.
I'm sorry. The biggest thing though, and that's what I kind of wanted to bring up today, is the fast travel in that game.
Mm.
Because
In that game specifically?
well, fast travel in general, but but this game has different ways of fast travel, and in different sections, it's made me feel different ways. So I think pretty early on in the game, there's a section where you have to keep going back to this hub, and the closest fast travel point is still so fucking far away. And it's also like in this game, you have a trunk in each area of the world that's like your like stash. And so it doesn't matter if you like in one area of the world you put something in that box. If you go to another box in another, it'll still be there. But like it's so far away and very awkward to get to in the main hub of this first area. And I was just and I was like, all right, well, I guess they really want us to enjoy this village that we have to zigzag through to get to where we need to be.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, well, I guess they're just like trying to show off their village or expand this part or something.
Shit.
And it was super annoying. And then with The Witcher, there's like post signs along the road, and that's your quick travel points for most of the game. But in a lot of the stories and quests that you do, it also has like especially if you go travel somewhere else, like it'll have like where they just take you there, and then at the end of it they'll be like, oh, well, like let's go, like you get a choice, let's go back, or I want to explore some more. If you click the let's go back, then you automatically go to where you need to be. And then obviously if you want to explore more, like even if it's on the other side of the map, then you just got to figure out a way back to where you need to be. Which I like. I like that you have that option because there's so many times where I finish a quest and I'm like, fuck, I gotta figure out where the next closest like signpost is. Then we go to closest one to them. And it's to a point now where I am like, all right, well, if it's only 87 steps, then or like only like 120 steps, then I'll just run. But if it's like this far, then I'll get the horse. And if it's this far, then I'll find a signpost, like where I have like meters about like which travel option I'm going to use with it. But then they also, and with most of the game, especially the first two sections, you have to explore the map to unlock these signposts. But then you get to like the third area, which is called Skellig, and that one you can just buy from vendors like maps for different areas. And I noticed significantly how much I didn't give a shit about Skellig compared to the other two maps. Because Berta called me crazy, but I'm going through all of the quests. Like, all the quests that I get, I'm doing. And then I also, in the first two maps, I went to because they have, like, points of interest on there, and it's just, like, until you figure it out, it just has a question mark there. So I was like, all right, well, I'm going to get all the question marks off the map. I'm going to figure out what everything is. I may not, like, some of the stuff was, like, too high level for me, where I was, like, level, like, 15, and there's, like, level 29 monsters there. I was like, oh, let's just get close enough to get this question mark away, and then I'll come back here later.
Yeah. I've done that in games before, and I always end up giving up, you know? Like, unless it's, like, a smaller game, right? Like, Infamous or Spider-Man, like, that's easy, but, like, if, like, an Assassin's Creed or Far Cry, I always start off with the intention of clearing out everything, and that never happens.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but I noticed with Skellig that I don't want to do that. I did it with the first two, and I did it with the last place. Granted, the last place is a lot smaller area. But and I was thinking about it today. I'm like, all right, I'm not gonna get all the question marks in Skellig. Granted, Skellig is like a what's it called? I want to say kaleidoscope. That's not right. It's archipelago. Oh. It's like an archipelago because it's like a bunch of little islands like everywhere. Shut up. I knew kaleidoscope wasn't right. It just had the same number of syllables.
That's kind of like a kaleidoscope, you know? Sure.
It had the same number of syllables, but it also is like a bunch of islands. So you have to like swim or get a ship and go around. And the ships are really boring. And also like the climbing does have a stamina bar. Everything has a stamina bar in there, but also like the fall damage in that game is so inconsistent. Sometimes I can fall off like 2 mountains. It just makes like a grunt noise, but the other times I hop over a fence and die instantly from fall damage. Yeah. Like I don't get this game.
That's the risk of being a Witcher, baby.
Inconsistent fall damage.
Yeah, man.
But the mountains get really frustrating for me in that game, especially in Skellig, because there's not always like routes up the mountain. Like you just got to figure it out. And I'm like, I'm not going to continually falling down the mountain to find the one ledge I can jump up on when there's no like identifying markers.
Right.
Like it's stupid. Like I'm not doing this. But made me very thankful that there was fast travel that I could just buy from vendors instead of exploring the area. But I do think because of that, and like also in part because of the mountains and the sea. Like I just don't enjoy that area as much. Like I think it has like there's like some cool characters in there, but I don't know. It just kind of got me thinking about like because I was just thinking about why I didn't like that area as much as the rest of them. So I was
Right.
talking to Ray about the game, and so at first though I blamed the fast travel. I was like, well, I don't have an incentive to like find everything because I can just buy it.
Right.
And you can't buy all of them, but you can buy a good portion of the markers, so you don't have to like do things. But yeah, I don't know. This like just Witcher 3 though, with a couple ill-placed markers and having the variants, just I don't know. It's made me think a lot about fast travel.
For sure.
So I usually wanted a forum to bitch about some things,
Sure.
but also like I don't know. It kind of just got me thinking about fast travel and like it's like when I think about the game that I probably was the least annoyed with fast travel in like a non-Pokemon game because it's probably like Persona 5. And I think that's just because it feels, even though it is fast travel, it feels more organic. Like because you're using subway systems, which is real.
Yeah, but like I feel like
I
Persona.
don't need anything in Persona to be real, you know.
Well, I don't.
Subways are real. Subways exist.
I feel like
I
Persona is
promise.
a different case because like all of its zones are closed off, so you kind of have to use that system to navigate between each one.
It's true. But at least like for most of the game, you don't have to go through one system to the other manually. You
Right.
can just kind of pick
Yeah.
where to go. So I still think of it as fast travel. Because I was just trying to think of like what games do I not get annoyed with the fast travel, or do I think it has not like hurt anything?
Yeah.
So are you typically annoyed with fast travel? Because that's the way you're making it sound.
Sometimes, because like
Yeah.
because sometimes I don't think they have like enough spots on the map to make fast travel really worth it. And then I'm just like, all right, well, you want me to see this part of the game? Cool. I mean, I wouldn't say all of the time because there's definitely times where I'm like, fuck, I gotta go back all the way over there for this one thing to finish this, and I'll never go to this area again. I'm like, all right, dope, fast travel. I don't have to like do all that, and that's nice. I guess like the main times I get annoyed is when it's like it's more inconvenient to use fast travel than to not. And I'm like, well, then why do this to me? Why give me this option and then make it inconvenient? It fucks. But also, like, sometimes it makes me, like, there are times where I do feel a little bit less immersed in the game with it.
Yeah, I could see
like,
that for sure.
Like, I feel, and I definitely think that, like, I feel less immersed in the third area, the Skellig of Witcher, because of it, because I don't have to, like, go and explore anything.
I think it can make you feel more immersed, though, depending on how it's done, you know?
Yeah, because Pokemon, like, you have to get a Pokemon that knows Fly in most of the games. The newer ones, you just kind of get the ability, really, of like a hidden moveset. But I mean, like, in that one, I'm like, all right, like, I got a Pokemon that's flying me. Like, that makes sense. This is still part of the gameplay. And I know, like, Skyrim has, like, the more marker-based fast travel, but you also can do the carriage rides.
Yeah. Yeah, well, the carriage rides will take you between different cities, and with the like basically with Skyrim, it'll allow you to fast travel to basically anywhere that you've been, provided there are no enemies nearby, and like it's with fast travel though, like whether or not I'm inclined to use it relies on a couple of factors, right? Like one is how much time do I have to play right now? And secondly, like how interesting is the world interesting enough to me for me to not use it, right? Do enough interesting things happen between where I am and where I'm going, or is there an incentive for me to not use it, right? And
There almost never is.
yeah, and that's the thing, right? And it's just like, when you're
Placed.
yeah, that, especially like if you're like, especially when you're talking about like a path that you've gone across like a few times already and it's the same every time, then you're just like, okay, let's just get me there and let me go back.
Yeah.
So like, and I remember though that the first time I experienced fast travel, to my recollection, it might have been earlier, but this is the first one I can remember, was in The Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion. And one of the
because I think Morrowind also had fast travel.
If it did, then I have no idea how to access it, and that was one of the things that like that was one of the things
it's been a long time since I've played it,
Yeah.
so I could be
that was
remembering it.
that was one of the things that like was very daunting about the Elder Scrolls 3 to me, was because like it was this big sprawling world, and already it's like the biggest open world that I've experienced in a video game at that point. But then like I'm not given a whole lot of direction as to like where I should be going to do this thing that I'm trying to accomplish, and I don't exactly know how to get there. And so trying to get there as a thing, and then like trying to get back to where I came from is a whole thing. And so like it was so overwhelming that it like I never actually finished that game. Whereas the first time I played Oblivion, I was like, wait, I can fast travel. I can just go to that place that I've been already. And that was a whole huge thing for me.
When I was young, I'm sure the fast travel must exist before this, but like I remember the first time using fast travel in Symphony of the Night.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's the same exact thing, because like you got to backtrack all over that bitch over and over and over again, you know? And that's the first game I remember with fast travel, but I remember thinking like it's just fucking genius, you know?
Yeah, and and because I think that like without it, it can very easily become, especially in a game like Symphony of the Night or any game built that way where you're having to go back and forth and like unlock tools or find tools or whatever to access new areas, it becomes really tedious having to like walk back and forth, especially considering the fact that the enemies respawn every time you re-enter the room, and then you have to fight these enemies and stuff. So being able to quickly travel between 2 points in a castle or a cave or whatever the environment of the game is really important, I think, for games like that. But I was also thinking about whenever I think of fast travel, I immediately think of Dragon's Dogma, and specifically because Dragon's Dogma, it had like, I don't remember, I think it was like 3 fast travel points on the whole map, and you had to have a specific item to use them. Otherwise, wherever you were going, no matter how many times you've been there, you were walking there. And one of the things that was like always really intimidating to me about that was because like once it's nighttime, then all the scary enemies come out, and you might not fucking make it.
But that game seems so much more epic because of little things like that, you know?
Yeah.
Like a Japanese take on a Western RPG already was like so interesting at the time.
Mm-hmm.
But like spending that time walking to whatever destination that you've set for yourself, you know?
Yeah.
I always like that's one of my favorite, like Shadow of the Colossus. I never use the fast travel. I forget that there is fast travel. Well, is it fast travel? No, I guess they're just save points. They're not really fast travel. Either way, like Breath of the Wild. I rarely used fast travel in Breath of the Wild, you know?
Right.
You have to do things to get it. So I do think that is like a better way, if you're like with it, is to like have to like either explore the area or like do the shrine stuff or some of that. I never really used the Breath of the Wild fast travel either.
But I mean, just like those towers, you know, like I use those towers to like place markers that I would then travel to on my own, you know.
Yeah.
But you know,
but like
like in other games, like we talked about, like when it is more immersive. Probably my favorite fast travel is Pequod in MGS5, the Phantom Pain.
Mm-hmm.
Because you know you're deciding where that thing's going to land,
right?
Where it's going to pick you up, where it's going to drop you off. Not to mention, like, you're going to spend hours inside of that fucking thing.
Yeah.
You know? Like, you're going to spend hours in that fast travel just sorting through all your lists and shit, you know?
Right.
Isn't
Yeah.
there? Wait, isn't
And that fast travel will play you a song.
Yeah.
You know?
in Metal
Like,
Gear Solid? Can't you like mail yourself in one of the games?
Yeah.
What that is?
So in Metal
Like,
Gear
you mail
Solid,
yourself in a box?
in Metal Gear Solid 1, once you get access to the cardboard box, there are these 2 trucks on the base that will, if you hide in the box while on the truck, they will transport you between 2 different points across the map. So
MGS5 is just a helicopter, Sinead, but like,
yeah.
you manage so much from that helicopter.
Yeah, like it's like what mission you're gonna do next, or like things like that.
Well, where you want to put resources,
Right.
like all sorts of shit. I love that thing, man. Like, you are playing that game wrong if you're spending less than half of your time in that thing,
I do want to ask though, because you said you were talking about Breath of the Wild and how you would rarely use a fast travel in those games. In that game, what was it about? Was it the world that like you just liked, like traversing the world?
It's just more like Shanae said. That game to me is more immersive not using the fast travel. I think with games like Spider-Man, right? Like, I rarely use fast travel in Spider-Man.
Yeah. Because why would you?
Why would you?
Yeah.
And when is Spider-Man just going to be like, oh, I guess I'll take the subway now?
Right.
Like, why would he do that?
Well, that's the thing too, right? Because like that was one of those games where it was fun to like swing through New York City, right? Like as Spider-Man, and it's just so fun to travel through that world.
I didn't realize there was fast travel at first in Breath of the Wild, but to be fair, I also didn't realize there was a clear fucking path 2 feet to my right. I just kept making spicy food to make it over a mountain. My smartest time was not with that game.
But where it is more immersive, I'll use it. Like Skate 3, I used fast travel all the time in that bitch.
So what was it just like, what made it more immersive? Okay, so
because it's real life.
Yeah.
You're not going to skate fucking miles and miles and miles just to go skate,
Right, obviously. Like I'm not gonna skateboard to downtown.
Right.
To skate, yeah.
Like, I don't know, man. It's just I just kind of pick and choose where I like it. But in games like Metroid or Castlevania, like they would just be such a pain in the ass without it.
Because it's a slog, right?
Well, and it is in something like Breath of the Wild as well. But like, there's just so much more to do and see, and Breath of the Wild rewards you for like going off the path and just you find the most random shit. Whereas
it's not very level based, not like compared to other games. So like there's like it's not like The Witcher where I'm like taking my horse rule, I'm like as close as I can, then running away because I'm about to die. Like there's moments like where like every now and then, like especially with the giants in the valley and stuff like that.
Right.
Like where I'm like but
the classic Witcher call.
Whoa. I'm not talking about in Breath of the Wild. Sorry, in Breath of the Wild, there was a couple times I was like, "What?"
Yeah.
But
that's the other thing, right, Ryan? You talk about like the fun of traversal,
But most of it, whatever I came across, I didn't have to like worry about like leveling up to fight it or get around it or do something like that. Like it all was very organic. So
you level up in that game by being better by getting better at the game.
Yeah, I mean, there's like certain times where you need to like have certain weapons. Like when I was like running around and I got to the lightning area and I realized all the weapons I have on me are metal. Like I'd have to go and get like some non-metal weapons so I could stop getting hit by the lightning.
Right.
Like there's a couple of things like that, but there's not a cap like there is with other games. Like it's not like, oh, like you have to wait till you're level 30 to go fight this because otherwise you're going to instantly die.
Right.
Like, so with Breath of the Wild, I do like it. Not only does it make more sense, but you're also not going back and forth like often, where you're just like going and fighting the same enemies over and over again in the exact same spot.
Right.
And just everything about it's more organic. There's nothing, Love the game.
Well, that and like Ryan, you're talking about like the fun of traversal,
Right.
and like as much as I hate the game, like Mirror's Edge Catalyst, like that's fun to run around that.
Oh
shit,
yeah,
you know?
absolutely.
Same thing like Breath of the Wild. There are so many ways to get around, so many inventive ways to get around. You know.
Yeah.
Same thing with
hang glide
Spider-Man.
everywhere. Just keep finding.
I mean, hang glide and horse, but like you can also make a fucking car or a boat. Like there's all sorts of shit you can do in that game. You know.
And that was kind of like my thing with that has been my thing with Dying Light 2, right? Where like it's kind of like it's got a lot of parkour.
What are you eating right now?
Because I have food now. Anyway, so
That's,
like
he eats during the show now. That's his thing.
well, I can't let it get colder. It gets gross.
Yeah.
Anyway, so
Put a microwave in an oven. I don't know if you heard them.
Anyway, so like with Dying Light 2, right? Like one of the things is just, like the traversal in that game is so fun, especially as you're getting new skills to like you're able to run on walls or do the different things. It's like it becomes more fun to get from point A to point B. But then you kind of also have the thing that Dragon's Dogma also has, where like once it's nighttime, then like it gets more dangerous. But you do have the option to fast travel to different areas, but there's an incentive to not fast travel at night because like there's more materials that you can get at night that you can't get during the daytime. So I think like making it more engaging that way too is like really important. Like give me a reason to like not use fast travel, right? Like give me a reason, like give me some sort of incentive. And I think about, and then conversely, I think about Red Dead Redemption 2, where you don't start the game with fast travel. Like it's like you have to unlock something through, like you have to buy like a certain upgrade for your camp or whatever. And the thing about that game is, in my experience anyway, like there's so many different things that can happen between like 2 points that like I want to see like what's gonna pop up. Like I want to see like what random event is gonna happen on my way there. You know, like
Yeah, that's Breath of the Wild, man. Same thing.
So like having like knowing that option is there is cool, but like I love having that like thought in my head like, well, maybe I'll actually walk to where I'm going to see what happens. You know, and I think striking that balance is really important too. Like because I don't want to feel like navigating through the world is a chore. So yeah, but like
does Watch Dogs have fast travel?
Shit, yeah, it does.
Must. Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely, especially, well, that's the thing too, right? Because it's like it's a modern Ubisoft game, right? So it's like that's like part of their framework with it is like making sure you have fast travel points to like go to all those fucking question marks all over the map. And it does, but like what Legion did was, since it takes place in the future, like like all of the cars like have the ability to do self-driving to like varying levels of efficacy, I guess.
Is that what the fast travel is in Watch Dogs?
Well, no, there's an actual fast travel.
Isn't there a game where the fast travel is just getting into a taxi? It's really like the city game.
GTA like 4 is that. I know that. GTA 4 does that. Is you call a cab and then it'll pick you up. You can either like sit through the cab ride, or you could like push a button to like skip to wherever you're going.
Okay, that must be what I'm thinking about, especially if I'm thinking also about Watch Dogs. So like,
yeah, well, basically any car you get into has a self-driving mode, and then it'll take over and it'll drive like the legal route to wherever you're going, but it might take forever because you'd be driving from one end of the city to another.
Legally.
Yeah, like, so it will stop at stoplights, right? It will stop at stoplights, and it will drive what I presume to be the speed limit.
I don't time the stoplight.
But it's also like, and I don't know if this is like it trying to be realistic or if it's just because it's a video game. But sometimes it doesn't work so well, and you'll hit a car or a civilian or something like that, and then you'll get in trouble. So.
It wasn't me, guys. It was a self-driving car.
Yeah. But it was stolen, so there's zero liability on my part.
Is there... So when I mentioned that I wanted to talk about fast travel, was there any games that like came to your mind immediately that we haven't talked about?
No. What I brought up is what immediately came to mind. Like the first thing I thought of was MGS5.
So like for me, like it's just like one of my pet peeves where fast travel is concerned is having to pay to fast travel. I don't like it.
Like having like to do consumables or something like that to like fast travel. I was trying to get the name of the game, but I know I've played games before where you either have to take a potion or eat something or like some sort of consumable to fast travel, and some that you have to pay.
Yeah.
Like if it's like every now and then I don't mind like if I have to do like a ferry across like a river, but then later I get like a fast travel and I don't have to use the ferry. I don't mind like that.
Yeah, if I'm using like something like a ferry, like some kind of facility where like I guess it would make sense that I would have to surrender some kind of currency to use it. Okay, that's fine. But like both Horizon games have this thing where like okay, the fast travel points in Horizon are campfires, right? And to get to to fast travel to each campfire, you have to use like a fast travel pack, which are crafted with your materials that you have on you, which are also those materials are also used to craft other things that you use. So I'm like, well, do I want to fucking craft this thing so I can fast travel, or do I want to use this so I can craft more of these weapons that I use? And it's just I kind of hate it like that, and like it's annoying. They have made it now so that you can fast travel between, like if you're already at a campfire, you can fast travel to another campfire without having to use one of those things. But it's still kind of a fucking pain when like I don't feel like going to a campfire just to do that. Yeah. So like,
at least it gives you the option. There's like that's one thing that's also sometimes annoying about Witcher is that like sometimes I'm in a spot where it just like the signpost to go to somewhere else is just so fucking far away.
Yeah.
And I'm like, sometimes like because I have all the quests, I'll just like set whatever quest that that's supposed to be tracking for me to a different region, because if it's in a different region, it'll, instead of showing you where it's going to go, it's going to take you to it's going to show you the closest fast travel spot.
Yeah.
So sometimes, because I didn't realize that at first, so I was just like putting the markers on the different fast travel spots and then seeing which marker was closest to me.
Yeah.
and trying to map it out on my own.
Yeah.
But it's still like annoying in some aspects where I'm just like, and especially since I'm doing all the quests, or as many of them as I can, then because I think there's gonna be 2 quests I already like can tell that I'm probably not going to finish, and they're like collection quests, and there's nothing in the game that gives you any indication of where the things you need to be collecting are. So it's like, awesome. I'm not. No.
Is there any indication of your progress towards collecting those? Like you have
one of them is the Gwent cards. The Gwent, and the only thing they have in game is that it says how many cards are left in each region. So it says cool. I have like 8 cards in like Skellig, but I'm like, but where are they?
Should I just do it? You know?
I mean,
you beat Fire Emblem 12 times. Just do it.
Yeah, that's another thing, Sinead. You've obviously got the patience of a saint.
But there's like replayability, and I can play it differently in those games.
Sure.
And I don't know. I don't think I'll get. Because like I just can't figure out. Because I tried collecting all of them, and it still says I have 1 left in Velen, and I'm like, where the fuck is it? Because I literally went to every single tavern and area. Like I started from the bottom to the top, and then I still have 1 left. And it's just like I have literally no idea where this could fucking be.
Yeah,
I'm done. I'm done spending my time. I'd rather do these quests because as I'm going through, I'm still collecting things and then like coming across monsters and fighting. So my level's going up, where the other quests are going to be less fun and challenging, the ones that I was working on, just to try and get these stupid fucking cards. when my deck is already immaculate.
Sure.
I am demolishing everybody. I just won a Gwent tournament. I'm fantastic. Come
Cool.
at me. Let's play some cards. But like, yeah, I know there's just like one fucking like trebuchet I haven't found somewhere, and I don't need it, and I don't want it. I'm not. It's not breaking up with me. I'm breaking up with it. Like I'm
Sure.
done with it.
I just think that if like you wanted to be like if you really wanted to take your game to the next level, if you were as serious about Gwent as you've been telling everybody at the tavern that you are, you would go get it. That's what I think.
I'm a fake fan.
Sure.
But but yeah. Um,
So like
I'm
one
sorry. I got on that. Sorry, I got really into that point. But also another small thing that also made me think of is that when you fast travel from place to place, it doesn't like do much of a loading screen unless you're going to a different region. And then it gives a kind of like a little mini story recap of like the story so far in reference to that region. And so when we talked about before about like it's not a hidden loading screen, but things that we talked about in the time are just like regular loading screens and what they do. And I do think that like obviously they're having to render an entire region, so it makes sense in there. But sometimes I'm just like I don't want to hear the same fucking story because I have to go between these two regions over and over again right now.
Yeah.
Like I'm done with this.
So like I was thinking I remember getting through the first Dark Souls and at a certain point in the story you unlock fast travel between specific bonfires. And that
I was like a dumb question. Dark Souls or Demon Souls, but yeah, no, because like Demon Souls is the tower, so it doesn't fucking matter.
but then like like that was cool and everything, but like at a certain like when you die it's still kind of a chore to get back to whatever bonfire you were at.
Ugh, yeah.
Or like so like by the time Dark Souls 3 came around, it was at the point where like every bonfire that you lit was a fast travel point. And that kind of really streamlined the game for me because I think that on one hand I find that Dark Souls is fun, but I think there are a bunch of different ways that you could streamline that game without taking away whatever challenge you're trying to like get across in the gameplay. And so like that was what made Dark Souls 3 really fun to play for me. It's just because like even if I died at a certain point or whatever, like I could still get back to where I was pretty quickly and try again. Whereas like before, like it kind of takes the wind out of my sails when like I die and I get sent way far back and then I'm just like I gotta go all the way over there again.
But that's looking at it more as a checkpoint than a fast travel, though. I know it serves both purposes,
Sure.
but like, yeah.
Well, and I'm that's why like I'm kind of like really interested to see like what it's like in Elden Ring because like now they have like a bonfire. I don't remember if they call them bonfires in Elden Ring, but like they have a bonfire equivalent, but then like alongside that, like closer to like boss encounters, there's like another separate like location that serves as an actual checkpoint, so that you can get back into those encounters more quickly. So I'm excited to see like what that is like. But yeah, like once like that, I think that like even though I've always liked the Dark Souls games, they were always sort of like a little bit intimidating to me in a way that like I would if I was about to fight a boss, I'm like, okay, well, let me make sure I actually have the time to do this because if I die, then this is the only try I get tonight, right? But when it comes to like being able to move around more quickly, like if I want to go to this other place because I know that I can level a certain way or get certain items, then I can do that, and then I could fast travel back to where I was to like pick up where I left off, and so that served like a really practical purpose for me. And I know that I'm sure that there were, because if there's one thing about Dark Souls, there's always people who are gonna complain about whatever. So I'm sure there are plenty of people who fucking hated that for whatever reason. But I don't know. It made the game better to me. Sure, but
yeah. But yeah, I don't think. I mean, I think that Tommy is right for at least like that game franchise and the way that you're using it is more like checkpoints. But but I think like overall, especially with like fast travel being more like commonplace with especially in RPGs and stuff like that, I think it makes sense, especially just because people do play games differently, and
Right.
not everybody has the time to enjoy the scenery.
Right.
And they may want to, but if you only have an hour you can play a day,
Right.
it doesn't make sense to spend 30 minutes of it traveling.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know, and I know like games are easier than they've ever been, but I do think that with that it adds a lot of inclusion for people who want to do these things.
Sure.
And obviously like with like Breath of the Wild and other games and like Red Dead Redemption, even The Witcher 3 in some aspects, because like you have to go around collecting like flora and alchemy ingredients and stuff if you want to make certain things. So like if you're traveling, that makes it just much easier because you will pass it and it can pick it up.
Yeah.
Like I think like doing things like that, and it's nice for people who have more time to dedicate to something.
But like you said, Shanae, I do think like it's on the writers of those games to give a contextual reason as to why that exists in that world, you know? And I think they should, because it really should only take about 15 minutes to explain that shit, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, and also like if you're gonna put it in the game, don't make it so annoying to use that people don't use it just because you want someone to enjoy an area more. Because fuck you for that. Then don't put the fast travel in there, you assholes.
Yeah. Well, like I feel like I've gotten to the point where I gravitate more toward games that I feel respect my time. And I guess that is antithetical to my interest in Assassin's Creed games. But like generally speaking, though, I think that like I like a game that won't force me to like waste my time like engaging with it in specific ways, and allowing me to get to the parts that I enjoy more quickly is like it's always going to be a plus for me, right? And I'm under no obligation to use these things, but I'm glad that they are there.
Yeah. Any other closing thoughts?
Yeah, this has nothing to do with fast travel,
That's fine.
but I'm super excited for the Capcom Fighting Collection.
Oh hell yeah! All the Darkstalkers,
Uh,
baby.
It comes out, I think, in June. The weird thing about it is, like, you know, Ryan says, "Oh yeah, all the Darkstalkers." I love Darkstalkers, but that's too much Darkstalkers. You don't need that much.
Give me,
especially when
you
like
need all of it. You need all
No,
of it.
like-
give me all the Squatch.
3 of those games are pretty much identical.
Yeah,
You know,
but they taste different.
Hey, you're playing a game right now that it's an amalgamation of 3 versions of its own game.
It's a game like the collection is just like it's the Capcom Fighting Collection, and literally half of the games are Darkstalkers games.
There's like 5 of
and
them, right?
There's 6 of them.
6.
And
yeah.
most people are going to play one of those.
Yeah.
You know.
But you have the option for the others.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I think it's great. Like,
I honestly
think it's good that Darkstalkers comes back. I can't wait for all the people to talk about how much they love Darkstalkers. Even though nobody fucking played it, and that's why it died.
Yeah. I honestly thought that Rival Schools was going to be in there.
I mean, it's just the 2D stuff for the most part.
Yeah.
And there's stuff that they had to leave out for obvious reasons, you know.
Yeah.
But like all the Marvel vs. Capcom shit, that's all licensed, you know.
Yeah.
Like it makes sense that those would be out. The fact that they just put out a Street Fighter collection a couple years ago makes sense why they would only put one Street Fighter game in this, you know. But like Gem Fighter being on there, I don't know that that's had an official release since PlayStation 1.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool. Red Earth being on there is really neat.
Was what is that? The first console release of that game ever, or something like that?
No, Capcom is saying that, which is not true.
It's not true.
But whatever.
Well, what did it come out on?
Right.
What did it come out on before?
I believe Saturn.
Yeah, that's not a real console. No one bought that.
That's true. No one bought it. But
Yeah,
I'm excited for that. I'm excited for Street Fighter 6.
If a tree falls in a wood, does it make a sound? If no one buys a console, does it exist? Like it's the same thing.
Yeah, Street Fighter 6. Like I'm excited for that. I wish we would have seen more, but like we saw enough of it to be able to tell that's in the fucking RE engine,
Yeah.
And we saw close-ups enough of those models to be able to tell that those are probably in-game models.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm excited for that.
Yeah.
Nice. I'm excited that you're excited. Yeah. No, I'm excited to get all of those Gwent cards.
Just play the Gwent game, Shanae.
I probably will now that I know it exists.
Yeah.
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 And then on the next show, you and Ryan can talk about how The Witcher and Cyberpunk are in a shared universe.
Are they?
I'd rather
they're probably not. You guys are both into playing those games right now, so I want to hear you guys dork out some more.
I'm good.
Yeah, that was this episode was about.
I'm good.
But yeah, you can, for those who are wondering, you can find us on most podcast apps like iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, whatnot. We also are on the YouTubes if you want to see our beautiful faces. We also have a Discord that's linked somewhere. Ryan, I don't know what you're doing to your head. It's so distracting.
I'm fixing my plumage.
I read about that in my bird book. If you want, all right. I don't know what's happening with this ending, but bye, guys.
Bye.